There seems to have been a lot of confusion around task analysis, enough that I have to acknowledge that for whatever reason, my own attempt to present it was not sufficiently clear. So before anything else, I need to make sure that everyone's together on this, because as I wrote, task analysis is really at the heart of instructional design. So let's first think about the target. What do I want my students to be able to do? And I want to be careful here because I'm not thinking about what classroom tasks, what assessment tasks do I want them to be able to do, but what do I want them to be able to do out in the world, in their lives, with this information? Why am I teaching it? I'm teaching it so that they can do something. Let's take an example. Want my students to learn the alphabet in order. Why? Not because the activity of reciting the alphabet is in itself meaningful. Singing the ABC song or the Aleph Bet Vet song is a classroom activity. But being able to look up a word in the dictionary or to find a name on a contact list, those are life activities, and that's what I'm really interested in. Reciting the Shema, that's a classroom activity. Praying the Shema, that's a life activity. So we start with a goal like, I want my students to be able to participate meaningfully in the Torah service, or I want my students to be able to understand how current events affect the life of Jewish communities throughout the world, or something like that. So let's take one of those. Let's take, I want my students to be able to participate meaningfully in the Torah service. Great. But then what? What does that involve? What do you need to be able to know or to do in order to participate meaningfully in the Torah service? It's this question that a task analysis comes to answer. What are the different tasks, the skills and bits of knowledge that are necessary to participate meaningfully in the Torah service? And here are some possibilities of sort of off-the-cuff task analysis. In no particular order. There's reading the blessings, understanding the role of the Torah reading in the service as a whole, knowing what the specific blessings actually mean, knowing how to participate in the choreography, when to stand up, when to sit down, where to walk to, what to point to, all of that. Being able to follow along with the Baal Koreh as he or she reads from the scroll. Having a sense of what the Torah personally means to you. Knowing why people are called up, what this whole Aliyah business is about. Chanting the blessings. Knowing the function of the various people on the bima, etc., etc., etc. Now, once I've done the task analysis, I know specifically what it is that the students have to learn, or what I have to teach. And I could start thinking about how to organize those individual learning tasks, the learning of those individual tasks. In doing that, I'll think about when the various skills are called on in order, but I'll also think about levels of complexity, about the different kinds of intelligence being exercised, the different levels of thinking going on, and how the different tasks interact. And I'll think as well of what constitutes mastery of a task. Say I'm looking at the task of knowing the functions of the various people on the bima. Do I want students to simply be able to write out a list? Who's on the bima and what do they do? Do I want them to be able to identify the people, point to them, and explain what they do when they're sitting in services? Or do I want an even more active level of mastery? Do I want them to be able to choreograph their own service, know what characters they need and where they have to stand and what they have to do? Once I've done that, once I've identified the individual tasks that make up this whole learned activity, not the learning activity, but the learned activity, I've identified the tasks, I've understood what mastery means for each of those, and I've arranged the order from learning them. Then I can begin to plan the appropriate activities to meet those specific goals. I hope that makes sense.